Alright, this video is an introduction to the Revolve tool and how it is used similar or how it can be used similar to the extrude tool. Now, if you notice, I already have a new document open. I have a new part studio open. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a sketch on let's create a sketch on the front plane. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hide all the planes, make my plane square, and I'm just going to make a shape. And I'm going to make my shape 100 millimeters by 25 millimeters. Now, if I'm going to do a revolve, what I would do, I'll click on the revolve tool and I can do a full revolve. Now, if you notice, when I click on revolve to select what I want to revolve, it's asking me to select the revolve axis. What I'll do, I'll click the revolve axis and I could select here. If you notice, it will make a disc. If I go back, close that. If I click here, it makes a cylinder. Cool. I could also change it from a full revolve to one direction. Now what that does is I can specify how many degrees I want it to revolve, or I can click the arrow and I can drag it around. And if you notice, as I drag the arrow, the degrees increases and my shape also increases. My revolve also increases. I could go back and I could say I want it to revolve two directions. So I'm going to say this is my revolve axis and I want it to revolve. I can move both sides. If you notice, I can revolve that side or I can revolve this side. Okay. Now let me do a full revolve and enter it. So I just made a cylinder. Now I can create another sketch. I'm going to create on the front plane. And I'm going to draw another rectangle. I'm going to reference this line. I'm going to create another rectangle. But this time I'm also I'm going to add a line next to it, but I'm going to use a construction line. So I'm going to put a construction line just about here. And what I'll do, I'll add a dimension from my center point to here. And then I'll add a dimension from here to here. And why I'm doing that is I want to fully define my sketch. And I'm not changing the dimensions because I just want to show you how the revolve feature works. But let me make this a little longer, make it about 100. Now if I revolve this around this axis, you'll have a circle in the middle. Let's make this 15 just for the sake of adding the dimension. And let's make this say 30 and make this 100. Now if I enter my sketch and I go to revolve and I'm saying I want to do a full revolve, or let's say a partial revolve, one direction. I want to revolve it 180 degrees. I want that to be the feature that I'm revolving, and I want my revolve axis to be this one. Now if you notice, there's that hole in the middle. If I did a full revolve, it will make a cylinder with a hole cut through it. But in this instance, I want to do one direction. I want to make it 180, but I want this to go on the other side. So I'm going to click on that. And if you notice, it changed the direction of my revolve. Hit the check. Cool. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how the revolve feature can be used to remove and also add. So I'm going to create a sketch on this face right here. Let's query it up. And let me just hide this part so you're not seeing it. And I'm just going to make a circle right here. I'm just going to put a circle just about right here. And I'm going to give the circle, just fully define my circle. So I'm going to make that 10. I'm going to make this 15. And I'm going to make this 8. I want it to be a small piece. What I'm going to do is I'm going to finish that sketch. I'm going to go to isometric. Oh, I forgot to put my revolve axis. So let's go back into the sketch first. And let's put a construction line right down the middle. So I'm going to put a construction line about here. And I want to figure out what the middle is. So I'm going to make that about, say about 45. I'm going to hit that check. Remember, we got to make this one a construction line. Hit that check. We're going to go to isometric. And then I'm going to click the revolve. And if you notice, right here is my feature that I'm trying to revolve. I'm going to click on that. And it's going to ask me to select the revolve axis. I'm going to click this right here for my revolve axis. And if you notice, it just made that part. I could also do a one direction revolve. I can change the direction and I can drag it around how far I would like it to be. And hit my check. So I just added a piece. If I want to edit that, I'll double click in there on the revolve and I can change it to 180 for it to go connect to the other side. I could also use that same revolve tool and I can remove a part. So for instance, if I start a sketch on the same face, I could draw another circle. I could just define my circle. To make it fully defined, not worrying about the dimensions too much. And I'll just add a construction line. I just drew a line. I want to make it a construction line right there. And I'm just going to make a construction line up the middle. I could revolve this by removing it. So if I right click, go to isometric, I could remove this by clicking it, selecting the revolve axis, and I could select remove. If you notice, it will remove that portion. And just to show you, if I enter the check, I could go show shade it with hidden edges, and you'll see that that hole just went through. And that's how you use the Revolve tool in some instances. There are other applications out there for it, but this is just a basic introduction to how the Revolve tool is used.